Well, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Thinking Tuesday. If it's noon on Tuesday of any given week, you'll find me here on Thinking Tuesday. So, what is Thinking Tuesday about? Thinking Tuesday is about being aware of your thoughts and how are they serving you. Are we having negative thoughts that are driving us away from our goals and who we aspire to be, the type of life we aspire to live? Or are we cultivating positive thoughts that help us to live a more um, happy life and see things differently, consider possibilities rather than just looking at obstacles? Are we looking at obstacles as opportunities for growth? Or are we just avoiding them just because they're uncomfortable? So that's what Thinking Tuesday is about. And we have been sharing our motto every Tuesday, which is your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. And you choose if you're going to grow flowers or if you're going to grow weeds. And we encourage you to grow flowers. Those are the positive thoughts that I just thought about. And those of you who know about gardening, if you don't tend your garden, those weeds will tend to seep in and choke out those beautiful, beautiful flowers that you spend so much time arranging. So, I just want to do a little recap. This is going to be my last Thinking Tuesday for the year. I'm not giving it up completely, but I'll come back next year once a month rather than once every week. But I first want to thank all of you who showed up last night for my webinar. This was my complimentary um, gift to you for Black Friday. And also, it became an end of the year offer, which I'm considering maybe doing again before the end of the year. Not sure yet, but when I make a decision, I certainly put it out there. But I just want to thank those who showed up. It was a very robust conversation discussing our topic, which was breaking the cycle, empowering your mind to interrupt negative, self defeating thoughts. We know that we want to do things. We want to do things. We have goals, we have desires, and many times we don't do them because there are thoughts that interrupt us. And we just want to be able to get a hold of them. Some of these thoughts might have to do with how we feel about failure. Maybe if we go ahead with whatever it is that we're seeking to achieve, that maybe we'll fail. So instead of trying, we have these thoughts that really keep us back. They're raising all kinds of doubts, self doubts. Can I do this? Will I be embarrassed if I can't do it? Are there going to be people to support me? All of those kinds of thoughts. You might have tried something before and failed and feel that you're going to fail again. Also, even when we're trying to accomplish something, sometimes we have a fear of success, because success brings some other responsibilities. It certainly is going to bring accountability, and if we're not fully committed to following through with this, sometimes we are afraid of being successful because what that brings with it. So there are all kinds of negative, self-defeating thoughts that you know come to our minds, that affect us, that impacts us when we are trying to achieve something, because we all want to do something. We all want what's better for ourselves. We all want to be wealthy. And wealthy, as I talk about it, to me means that you want to be happy, you want to be healthy, and you want to have financial abundance. That covers all the aspects of our lives. So we want to be wealthy, and we want to do things that's going to give us that type of life that we desire. We also want to become the person that we want to become to be able to live the life that we want to live. So last night's webinar was just about that. How do we interrupt those self-defeating thoughts that cloud our mind, cloud our thinking. Because Thinking Tuesday, and that's why I call it Thinking Tuesday, is all about thinking because that's where it starts. Because we know that our thoughts drive our feelings, and our feelings drive our actions, and our actions decide what results we're going to get. So it goes both ways. If we're thinking negatively, if we're not aware of those self defeating thoughts that harbor our brain sometimes, they'll just keep working in the background and we'll never figure out why it is that we are not accomplishing what we want to accomplish, why we're not feeling the way we want to feel, why we're not becoming that type of person that we want to become. It's because they are playing in the background. So the whole point is trying to become aware. Awareness and discovery, as we talked about last night in the webinar, is very, very important. That's the first step to changing anything. Because if you're not aware of what's affecting you, then you can't change it. And then if you're aware that something is holding you back, then you can start to develop a plan. Sometimes the why is not as important, but if you are aware of that emotion, that memory, whatever it is that's holding you back, that's impacting you negatively, then that's the beginning of the process. And I taught several techniques, at least two techniques last night. One of them being the stop technique. How do you interrupt those thoughts? So thank you for those who showed up. I also want to spend a little time just sharing with you some of the things that I have thought about this year. We talked about many, many things um, on Thinking Tuesday, but one of them that stuck with me, and I guess it stuck with me because this is what I've been focusing for myself. And if you'd like to go back to any of the Thinking Tuesday videos, go to my YouTube channel, Thinking Tuesday, Cheryl Burton, and take a look. Refresh your memory. If you had not heard any of those before, go to the YouTube channel and listen to some of them and see how they resonate with you. What have you taken away from any of those? And what do you plan to do with them? Because it's not so much about what we know, but it's really about what we do with what we know. Many of us go to conferences, webinars like last night. We hear things and we come out feeling good. But what do we do with them? Are we using them? So the one that I've been focusing on, and you might want to consider this one also because I think it has it's useful in all areas of our lives. And it's a quote by one of my favorite thought leaders who is passed now, Wayne Dyer. And Dr. Wayne Dyer says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And I've been really working with that for myself. And this is what I'm going to continue working on in the new year. We don't have to stop just because we started something one year and there's another year. No, there's never any finish line to our growth. So I like this quote because it allows me not so much to look at the other person, but to look at myself. Because many times we are looking for the change to come from without when it really has to begin with us. It has to start within. Some other thought leader, I can't remember exactly who it is right now, but they say, if you don't travel within, you will go without, because then you won't be able to see what's going on inside you and how you can begin to change. So I like the quote, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. We have to learn to accept people as they are. Now, I'm in the business of helping people change themselves, but I can't force anyone. I can share with them, and that person is going to have to decide if they're going to adopt and use anything that they learn in the sessions or the talk or whatever it is, the webinar that I'm giving. What are we willing to do to change the way we look at things? We can't expect to get results or new results applying the same level of thinking that created the problems for us in the first place. So we have to find a way to look at things differently. It's really about mindset. And I can't stress that enough because many times we operate from an emotional standpoint. We feel something and we do something, but there's something that preceded that feeling, and that was a thought. So, how can you begin to uh, think into or reflect on what came before that action? It's better to know what the thought is going to produce rather than waiting for the action, which might be negative and not serve you well, and then retreat back. Sometimes that would happen. We are humans, and we will respond sometimes without thinking. But if we can begin to harness those thoughts before we act, knowing that the way that we operate, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, male, female, transgender, whatever you are, old, young, whatever ethnic group you come from, it doesn't really matter. We're all humans and we all operate the same. And it's as I think, so I feel, as I feel, so I do, and as I do, so I have. And if you want to have good results, then you want to follow that path and be aware of how you're going to respond in any situation. Last night, someone on the webinar said, gosh, I wish I had had this information earlier today because there was a situation that happened at work that had she known about the stop technique, which is what I shared last night, she would have been able to use it. So the important thing is now that she has it, she can use it, you know. So going back to the quote that I just mentioned, that is a quote that I have allowed to lead my decisions, through this year as I became more aware of it. All of us have different perspectives, and our perspective is going to dictate how we respond. But don't put all the responsibility on the other person. We have to hold ourselves accountable also. Why are we perceiving the things the way we perceive them? We have to ask ourselves that. We have certain biases. How are they impacting our decisions and our thoughts? That's the inner work, the inner journey, which was one of the the Thinking Tuesday messages that I gave earlier in the year. We have to have a journey within so that we can become more aware of the things that are triggering us, which we talked about last night as well. So, this is what I am doing for myself. I want to ask you, what are you doing? What changes? What changes are you planning on? What changes have you made? What changes are you considering? What changes have you already put in place? And you don't have to wait until New Year to do that. You can start today. Today. So be willing to hold yourself accountable and think into what is it that I'm thinking that's causing me to react this way? What is it that I'm thinking about that person, whomever that person might be, that's causing me to react negatively to them? Is it really them or is it really me? And sometimes it's really going to be them, And then you have to make a decision. Do you let that go or do you confront it or do you take those people out of your life? Because there are some people that are just drainers. That's all they do. So think about that also. Where are you putting your focus? What kinds of unnecessary burdens are you taking on because of your perspective? So I wanted to share that with you and really, really challenge you to begin to think about how are you going to begin to make changes? What changes are you going to begin to make so that you can live the life you deserve and be who you aspire to be? You might not have given a lot of thought to who you aspire to be, but it's never too late. It's never too late. So I'll repeat my quote again for you. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Over the weekend, I gave a talk to an organization, a group of people, and I talked about that as well. That was part of the talk that I delivered about your mindset, how the way we look at things determines how we behave. And I want to share with you a little post that really is a good example of that, how we look at things. I've talked about before that we really don't fail unless we determine that we fail, because failure can be a good teacher, a good lesson. But just look at this quote, and it will actually show you as an example how when we look at things differently, they're not necessarily the same as we saw them previously. So this post says, if you should fail, never give up, because FAIL means first attempt in learning. End is not really the end of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. END simply means effort never dies. And if you should get no for an answer of something you're pursuing, NO really just means next opportunity. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this also reinforces that our thoughts are our lifeline. Because when we change our thoughts, we can change our life. Imagine if someone just feels that I've done this and I've failed. That's going to determine if they ever try again. They might be so disappointed that they just give up. But if you look at that failure and look at the word fail and you see it as first attempt in learning, then that's a whole another perspective. And if you feel like you've gotten to the end of your rope, because sometimes we do feel that, take a breath. Employ the step technique that I taught last night in the webinar. And see that as effort never dies, which means you'll not give up. If you continue to learn from the mistakes or the so-called failures that you have, then you'll never give up unless it's something that's harmful to you. Okay? So try to look at things differently and then know. Who likes to hear the word no? You know, if you're trying to accomplish something and you don't get it the first time, you know, there are other opportunities. So NO, look at it as next opportunity. I remember as a child, I guess as early as kindergarten or maybe even preschool, you know, there was a little poem that we had to recite. It says, if at first you don't succeed, try, try, try again. And we learn that from an early age. And that should be encoded in our brain that we should never give up easily. We learn more about ourselves as we begin to see things differently and move in directions that may be uncomfortable. And that's another thing that I've talked about over the year in our Thinking Tuesday messages, that getting out of our comfort zone can really be very difficult. But unless we act, unless we make ourselves uncomfortable because that's where we grow. That's where we grow. So I just want to wish you happy holidays and a wonderful, wonderful new year. As I said before, this would be my last week of bringing you this Thinking Tuesday on a weekly basis. But starting in the new year, in January, I will be bringing them monthly. Uh, we'll continue to have them at noon, but they will not be weekly. Um, I also want to remind you to visit my website, drcherylburton.com. I have something new coming up for you during the new year, and I should be sharing that in a few days. But it's a way to help you to begin to reboot, reboot for the new year. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's a 6 week course, and it's well worth looking into it because the more control we have of our thoughts, the better decisions we can make, the better actions we can take because we all want to go somewhere. We all want to improve our life. So be aware that there are some things that are thieves of our dreams, and they all begin in our minds. We procrastinate, we hesitate, we have self doubt. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed. You know, that 6 week course that I'll be sharing beginning in January will help you with those things as well. So it has been a pleasure meeting with you weekly. Ooh, I've been doing this for a few years now. But I'll never give up because I do strongly believe that our thoughts are very important and where they take us is extremely important because they are in the driver's seat and they will run the course of your life. They will set the course of your life. So if you don't check yourself, you might wreck yourself. So I don't want you wrecking yourself. I want you to thrive. I want you to thrive knowing that you have an inner GPS that can help to show you the way. And that GPS is your thoughts, the way you think. So I also want to remind you that as you go to my website to review the programs and services that I offer, please feel free to reach out to me and request a complimentary consultation, which will be confidential. If there's an issue that's challenging for you, if you want to get from here to there and don't know how to do it, you want to know what your next steps should be, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to speak with you and help you to move along. So take care, have a wonderful holiday, a prosperous new year, and I will see you again in a few weeks, which will be January. Okay, so take care and remember, your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. Yes, you can decide to grow flowers or you can decide to grow weeds. And I know you don't want that. I don't want that for you. So take care. Enjoy your holidays, enjoy your family, and be grateful for all that you've been able to accomplish over this year. It might not have been exactly the way you wanted, but you are not the same person that you were last year or early in the year. Hopefully, you'll become better as you move along and become more aware of how fully resourced you are to accomplish what you want to desire, what you desire. So take care. See you later. Bye bye.